Hey guys, Funkymusic here today. Just going to go over some stuff with Vanilla WoW. Got asked to talk about Vanilla WoW again. I know I've made a video on why I think it will fail. And while I do still plan on playing it, I want to make that very clear. I'm not trying to hate on the Vanilla players or anything like that. I think Vanilla was a great time. But I still think it's going to fail. And I just kind of wanted to update, see where everything was now, since that video is kind of old. Here we are getting closer to the launch. Just from my personal experience, guys, I can only say what I've experienced, and just talking with players that are currently playing private servers, guys who have played vanilla, who are still not even going to play the Blizzard's version of it. A lot of the feedback I've gotten is just how it's going to fail. Everyone just thinks it's going to fail, like just a ton of people. I mean, we had this conversation the other day in Discord, in the Aurora Discord, and people just, saying how it's going to be a failure, and how and like I said in the first video, kind of what they kind of said what I had already said was there's so much information out there right now, guys, about vanilla and about what to do, what not to do, and how classes are basically made, and people have done this content on private servers that I think you're going to see a content get burnt right through. I think there's going to be that initial burst, like there is on any private server, people wanting to play there. And the problem with vanilla is, though, if people don't remember that these little starting zones, like I'm in right now, the human starting zone over here, to get any experience, all these mobs are going to be dead with so many people playing here. I remember when my server in retail launched vanilla, the one that I played on its launch, and I even came day 2 of the launch to play, and it was just horrendously filled with people. It was ridiculous. You got lucky to kill a mob. You got really lucky if you could kill a mob out here, because it was just absolutely bananas crazy, waiting hours for mobs to respawn. I'm not sure how they plan on doing that, because there's a lot of people that don't want certain things touched in vanilla. They want things the way they used to be, and they don't want anything messed with. If they mess with this, I'm not playing it. There's a lot of that attitude going on as well. So I don't know what Blizzard plans to do with the respawns and how things are going to work, because man, it was a pain in the royal butt sitting out here waiting for stuff to respawn in vanilla. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I think it's going to deter a lot of people if they have to sit here and just wait. I don't know if people are really going to want to do that, because you're going to have groups of players who are going to group up. The big name people are going to have their groups of players, and they're going to be burning through content. A lot of the guilds who are planning on becoming a top guild or whatnot plan on burning through the content, getting groups together, going in groups, and leveling really as fast as they possibly can. So yeah, there's a lot of detraction that's going to be being a new player who's never experienced this content. The grind is ridiculous. I don't think people remember how hard the grind in vanilla is. It's really, I mean, it could take you a good solid month or two, and that's with a lot of playtime. A good month or two to get your character to level 60. And even when you get up there, if you're not too familiar with where to go, how to do things, if you're a brand new player, even with some of the information out there, I don't know if people are really going to have that easy of a time just leveling. Gearing I think gearing will be an easy option. People should, in specs, I think those will be easy options. But as far as leveling goes, I think people are really going to have a rough time with it. Now, once the server's out for a little bit longer, I believe people will have an easier time leveling. Obviously, there's not going to be as many people in the starting zones. But then again, by that point in time, people are already working on their second character as well. So it's still going to be, a while before you see the start zones really kind of get where like this is right now. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of us out here. Of course, it is like 2:24 in the morning, but still, there's a lot of mobs to be. You could basically pick and choose the mobs that you want to kill. There's not a whole lot of competition for killing stuff or waiting around 20 minutes for that one ad to respawn. So just something to keep an eye on. Think about when you guys are playing vanilla, that I think is really going to make a difference, that people don't really understand, that it's going to be really grindy. And if you've never played it before, And if you've never really experienced it, even on some of the private servers that are out there that work really well, um, man, you're in for a different World of Warcraft if you've like been playing since, I'd say, like, the mop days or something like that. A little bit later down the road, you're gonna be in for a true grind of a game. Things are definitely going to slow way down, which does help the game in some areas. I just want to point that out. It does help it in some areas, but when you're waiting around for hours upon hours to do a quest where you have to escort quests, or that one mob that you need to respawn so you can kill it and get the head, or the hand, or whatever he's carrying, and there's just 20 people waiting outside to do it. It is a huge problem. Even me playing on private server, when I was playing on Northdale, man, it was rough getting groups and going in there, because there would always be like 3 other groups waiting, and I just kind of forgot about that when I was playing. I was like, oh yeah, man, this is how it was back in the day. Like, it's still no joke. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. Another reason why I think vanilla is just not going to do well is if you look at the private server numbers. If you look at all these servers when they launch, they have a huge launch, tons of people playing them, and then basically within a year, you see. I use Outland if you're playing on Warmane here. Outland's a good example, and Lordaeron's a good example of where the populations have gone. I mean, both of them were 30,000 within the first couple months. 30,000 players. Here we are, a year and a half later, and Lordaeron, I don't necessarily believe the numbers that they're putting out, but at peak times, Lordaeron's only pushing 6K. And now Outland's down to 3,000 players, 3,500 players at peak times, what I've seen recently here. And it's crazy to me to think that they've lost, that much population. I think you're going to see the same thing in the vanilla when it comes out for Classic. I think it's going to be a huge waste of time eventually. At first, Blizzard's going to be happy with how the server's going and how many people are playing it and whatnot, but I think with it being vanilla and some of the stuff that's in vanilla, and just how hard it is, B, how much time you have to dedicate to the game. I don't think today's gamers really understand the dedication that, and that's not a knock against them. I just think that things have not trended that way for a long time, and how grindy a game should be. And vanilla was really that grindy of a game where it's nothing like you've seen today in MMOs. And today's gamer is not really geared towards that. And I don't think it's going to put a lot of people off towards it. And I'm not really, I really don't think people are going to be wanting to play something like that. I mean, you basically had to dedicate your life to this game. I mean, you're talking, if you want to be good at this game and you wanted to be, do a whole bunch of stuff, you're talking putting in, no joke, 30, 40 hours a week. I mean, it's that intensive where you're basically selling your soul to the devil to play this game. And if you're a younger player, you're living at home with your parents, by all means, if you're a big streamer and you could do that, by all means, go and do it. But people my age, people who played this game when it was live, and people who really want the nostalgic feeling of this game and want to go back to a time like this. I'm not saying that's all the people out there. I want to be clear about that. I've been yelled at that for the past. It's not all of us, Funky. Some of us were okay. Yeah, okay. Even if you started playing this game in 2005. Okay, and you were 10 years old, that was 15 years ago, so now you're 25, a lot of us have gotten married, we've got kids. I mean, the game's really changed, and people like me who were 18 when we started playing this game, I mean, we're in our mid-30s now, and we don't have the time or the dedication to really put into a game, and I think that's where a lot of the MMO culture has gone, because the people who played that game in my age group, we're now, like I said, we're in our late 20s, mid-30s, in between there, or, mid-20s, I guess, if you started playing Warcraft at 10. you're in your 25 to 35 range is where most of those players are at currently. And I think that's why you've seen the dumbing down sort of MMOs, is because that was the age group where MMOs were really popular. And I looked online the other day, and across, I wish I could pull that up. Maybe if I can, I could find it for you guys. But across all the MMO population, there's roughly, it's an estimate, MMO games population. There we go. Should be the first link. Right now, there's roughly about 114 MMOs, and the estimated player count is somewhere around 7 million. Now, if you go back to retail vanilla, you'd see that the peak of vanilla was about 7 million players. So that's basically the entire population currently with all the MMOs out there. Used to be World of Warcraft used to dominate that and have 7 million people. Now, again, that's just a rough estimate. Take from it what you will. But players are going to... I just don't think they're going to have anywhere near the player numbers come... especially after the initial hype is over. I think they're going to lose a ton of players, and it's going to be a huge waste of time. Again, I've talked to multiple players and multiple people who just think that and there's other people who have talked and tried to give me numbers and hype stats, but from what I'm just seeing, and from the old players, I'm not saying that's going to be everybody. Old players, new players, people who are way younger than me that I've tried to get. I've had these discussions with. These are WoW players, man. These are not just some off-the-wall players. They honestly really think vanilla is going to fail, or they don't want to do it because they don't really have the time for it. They know what the grind is going to be, and I keep seeing this repeated over and over and over again. So in my experience, it's really not. That much hype is what some people will say that there is. I've heard the argument against it, and people have tried to give me the numbers for it. I'm like, well, who are you talking to? I guess it just depends on who your friends are, who you're talking to. But I've tried to keep an open mind about that and talk to as many people as I can about it. Different walks of life, different guilds, different players, different people all together, and I keep getting the same response from a lot of these players is. We don't have the time for it, and it's going to be watered down content because everyone knows what's going on, and the boss mechanics are going to be, so stupidly easy because every boss has 1 to 2 mechanics until you get to about Naxxramas, and even then the game that just stuff's just tuned so high then that it's not even really that fun, and I think they're right. I think people really don't understand how much of a grind this game is, and I think it's just going to be a huge turnoff to a lot of players. The hardcore players will obviously absolutely love it, but just looking where I've seen things in the private server community and how things have worked, when a server has been online for, a year or two, I see that huge initial burst, and then I see about 100%, I'd say 90 to 100% drop off in the population from where it was at its peak, within the first 3 months. And there's no reason to believe you're not going to see that when Blizzard releases vanilla. I don't believe that you're going to see anything different. If I've been around for long enough to see it happen to a lot of servers. A lot of servers start off strong, and then they just can't keep the population. Things get old. People get tired. Okay, we've done it. I mean, what about the people who've already done vanilla once? I mean, so now we've done it twice. And, where are you going to go with that? I think the biggest question mark for me, though, in all of this is what is Blizzard planning to do when they reach endgame? Do they plan on keeping... And I've said this in the other video as well. Do you stay at endgame? Do you leave, certain realms at endgame and allow people to transfer their characters there and just stay at endgame for however long? And then do you bring out a TBC Classic and allow people to transfer their characters to that realm that are level 60. What are you going to do? And are you going to do this to every expansion? What's the plan here? And I think that's a huge question mark at the end that I think needs to be answered before we reach the end game, or even before the launch of the game. I would love to see where Blizzard is thinking about the end game, what they plan on doing. It's something that a lot of people really haven't talked a whole lot about. It's something that I'm very, very interested in. Excuse me. It's possibly my biggest question about where vanilla retail with Blizzard is going to go, what their plans are. Um, if they're waiting to see if this is going to be a success or not. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think about vanilla if you plan on playing. Just a heads up, we are going to be playing it when it comes out. There are a few people who are wanting to play with us, and people from the old days. And like I said, it wasn't as many people as I thought it was going to be. And there's maybe, even when I've tried to ask people about it, generate buzz about it, talk about it, a lot of people just don't want to talk about it. They ain't going to do it, or they just straight up ignore it and just call it stupid, or whatever. But there is a handful of us that do plan on playing, hanging out together. So if you were interested in that, doing that, we'll post it on the stream or on the Facebook before, or when it launches. We'll post what server we're playing on. We're probably going to be playing in European server. Not sure on raid times yet, but if you would like to join, we'll probably get a guild going. Just relaxed atmosphere, helping each other level, doing 5-mans and stuff like that. We're not going to really focus hardcore on PvE content. We will be doing PvE content, but nothing super hardcore. I don't think any of us have the schedule for that anymore. We all have college kids, houses, jobs, stuff like that, so we can't dedicate the time that it would take to be a top guild. But we plan on progressing as the expansion releases. Getting BIS, I think, is still a key goal for us, and moving forward and keeping up with the expansion. So we'll see how that goes. But if you guys want to join that, like I said, we'll be posting that, and you're more than welcome to join us there. I'm not sure how that's going to work out yet, or what we're going to do for guilds and whatnot. We may just reopen the Aurora page and just use that as our recruitment page and whatnot, so who knows. But anyways, guys, hopefully you have a good one and enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think, of your thoughts, your ideas, where you think vanilla is going to go, why you think it's not good, why do you think it's bad or good, whatever, you're indifferent. Give me your opinions. I want to hear them. I want to see where you guys stand on it. And as always, have a good one, and we'll catch you later.